Hey there, we're starting a couple minutes late. I hope if you're there, you held on till we got here. My name is Angela Sackett. For those of you who don't know me, I write for dancingwithmyfather.net as well as a new blog called saletlux.com. Salt at Lux stands for salt and light, which is the way that God describes his people. And it's my goal to encourage women especially to open your heart, open your home, and share God's love through hospitality. So on Salt at Lux, I'll be sharing tips on home decor, easy crafts, recipes, but really just ways to encourage us together to open up our hearts and to share love with each other. So today I want to talk a little bit about welcoming people into our homes in the middle of chaos. If you are like, I don't know, maybe anyone in the rest of the world, then your home is probably not perfect. And I shared last week about some ways to welcome guests into your home and pretty little things you can do, lighting candles and having great lighting. And I wanted to make sure that I'm always real with you too, because my life isn't perfect and it's not always pretty. I have a lot of kids and my family and I are in full-time ministry. And so I'm coming to you today from Harvey Cedars Bible Conference. This is a ministry on the Jersey Shore where my husband and I serve together with our kiddos. And Harvey Cedars is in the midst of a lot of construction and growing. And we are currently in the middle of homeschool week. And there are a whole lot of families here with their kids. And we can't stop what we're doing just because people are here. But it's our goal to be welcoming as well. And so I thought this was the perfect place to just kind of tell you about how some ideas that I had, and I would love to hear yours as well, on how to welcome people when life isn't perfect. And which is a good time to say we are broadcasting live on Facebook today. But if you have comments as we're going along, if you have ideas that you want to share, I want to hear them, and I know everybody watching wants to hear them too. And even if you're watching this later as a replay, if you see something you like, click share. I would really appreciate that. Like the Salt at Lux page, and then when we're done, if you have time, go on over to saletlux.com and take a peek at some of the things that we're sharing. And I had some great feedback after the last time we broadcast together, some ideas that I'm going to be sharing with you guys in the future, gifts to give to hosts when you go to someone's home and that sort of thing. So let's get started. A couple ideas that I had. First of all, I think when we have people into our home, something that's important to remember is that the more real it is, the more relaxing it is. I have a friend named Denise, and she lives in a beautiful home on the water in Florida, and it's well put together. She's a well put together lady. But when I go to her house, I always feel welcome, and I feel like I'm a part of the family. And I think part of that is because she's really gifted at being relaxed. And I will never forget the first time I went over to her house for coffee. She has this gorgeous kitchen, granite countertops, and she got me a cup of coffee, poured herself a cup of coffee, and jumped up on the countertop and crossed her legs, and we just chatted. And I giggled when she did it because I just felt so at home, and I almost felt like I was a teenage girl sitting with a girlfriend, and kind of that's what I was. So I think it's really important that the more relaxed we are, the more welcome our guests will feel, the more relaxed they'll feel, and they won't feel like they have to be unsettled or put on a show. And that's when real conversation happens, when we can let down our hair with each other. And kind of along the same lines is that when we want our guests to relax, I want to be careful that we don't burden them. And what I mean by that is McQuillan Smith, for any of you that know of her, she wrote an incredible book, among other things, called The Nesting Place. And she talks about the multiple homes that she lived in and rented over the years with her husband. And this thing that she would notice would happen where people would come into her home and she would find herself apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry that there's a fray on the corner of that armchair, or, we live here. And I think there's a tendency for us as women, especially in the era of Instagram and Pinterest, we look at other women and we think, oh, she has it all together. She has the perfect house, her colors are great, it's always clean, her dishes are always done. Maybe she doesn't even do the dishes, she has someone to do them for her. And so we get fearful, like we don't want to invite people into our homes because they'll see it's not perfect. And what ends up happening is they walk in and we say, oh, I'm so sorry, this is a mess, or this isn't right, or I didn't cook this, or didn't have time for that. And it can almost make them feel unsettled, and without realizing it, we can put the burden on them that we expect them to be perfect too. And one of the things that McQuillan does, and one of the things that I want to keep in mind for myself and encourage you in, is Never apologize. Don't feel like you have to. Just be who you are. Let your home be what it is, and the more lived in, the more loved it is, the more welcome people will feel. So, do we have any questions I should ask? If you have questions, if you have comments, feel free to share. I would love to hear them. Next thing I wanted to kind of hit is that perfect is not necessary. And we sort of covered that a little bit, but don't feel like you have to have everything perfect before someone comes over. The fact of the matter is, you and I both know it, you will never have anyone over. If you have that one room that's not finished, either close the door or leave the door open and let your friends or your neighbors know that life is in progress, and that's okay. Don't feel like you have to have the perfect music playing or the perfect meal prepared. My next door neighbor and I will sit out on my front porch and watch the kids play, and every once in a while one of us will text the other one and say, I've got tea, do you want some? And sometimes it might be a peanut butter sandwich, and that's okay. Let life be what it is. It doesn't have to be perfect to welcome people in. Another thing that I thought of is play to your strengths. So, there's the construction. You can hear it.
Mike Ritter says, or let them clean the room with you.
Yeah, let them clean the room with you. Mike Ritter, you are awesome. We're going to talk about that, and you are exactly right, and I can totally see that happening. Yes, you know what? I'm going to skip ahead and I'll say that. Teamwork. Edith Schaefer is an incredible woman of God, was an incredible woman of God who talked about the difference between hostessing and hospitality. And she said that hostessing says, come into my beautiful home and see all of the things I've done. And what that does is it puts all the focus on me. And indirectly, without meaning to, I may tell the person coming into my home that I'm all that and they don't measure up. And that's not, of course, that's not what any of us wants to do. But hospitality says, come in and be a part of what I'm doing, and come alongside, be a part of the family. And I think about that's one of the things that's happening here at the conference where we serve. We have guests coming through and they're seeing the spaces that we're working on, and they're catching the vision, and there's unfinished walls and there's furniture being built, but they're catching the vision for what we're doing, and it makes them feel more welcome. It makes them have the opportunity to invest. When we had little kids, and Mike Ritter knows this because he was a part of our life closely at this time, we served with young adults, college kids, and we used to have them over to our house frequently, at least once a week. And we would cook a meal together, and they would hold our kids on their laps. And at the end of the night, a lot of times we would have 2 or 3 or 5 kids stay and do dishes with us. And it might seem silly, but I think what it did during that time is it gave them the opportunity to really invest in our lives as we were investing in theirs. And they blessed us, and they made it possible for us to live life alongside them. And so, Mike Ritter, thank you for bringing that up, because that's exactly right. Invite your guests to join in and be a part of what you're doing. And then I kind of talked about this before, but play to your strengths. So there is a Food Network show, I don't know if it's still on, forgive me, Semi-Homemade. And the host used to talk about how you don't have to make everything from scratch. She would show you little tips on how to use a cake mix to make this gorgeous cake. You may not be the world's best cook. Who cares? You may not make the best cup of coffee. Who cares? Open up your home and do what you do well. So maybe you don't serve your guests homemade muffins when they come over, but you offer them a soda. Or maybe you're not the best decorator in the world. They don't care. They're not looking for that, but you're a good listener. And so really, I just want to encourage you, if you are a believer, ask the Lord to show you what are the things that you're good at, that you are gifted at sharing with others. But just play to your strengths. Look at the things that you do well and share them with the people around you. And what you're going to find is they're going to bring strengths that are going to build into you too. And I think that's one of the coolest things to me about building relationship. I have friends that are better listeners than I am. Hear all the noise, the imperfect is happening, and it's okay. You're going to grow from each other by sharing your strengths and your weaknesses, and you're going to give to each other. I'll hold for just a second. Now's a great time too, if you have comments, feel free to leave them, even if you're watching this as a replay. And also just want to encourage you, if you like what you're seeing today, share it on your page as well so that others can join the conversation. The last thing I want to say is speak life. And I think as women especially, and guys, you can tell me if you struggle this as well, I want to hear that. we have a tendency to focus on the rough stuff, the not so good stuff, and we can get caught up in conversation. I just want to encourage you, when you open up your home, when you open up your heart, be looking together for ways that you can speak life into each other, to speak the encouraging things. And that kind of goes along with the not apologizing for your house not being perfect or not having homemade croissants. I don't know. But speak life and be encouraging, and look for the things in your guests that you can build up in them as well. I have a friend who she's not super artsy, but man, she makes me relax when I go to her house, and I feel like I can kick off my shoes and be at home. And I try to speak that to her. I want her to hear that, because that is every bit as important as the showy things, the women that you see that are amazing decorators, or the men that you know who can cook the perfect steak. I don't know. I'll tell us and all that thought. I think that's about all I have to share for today, but I really want to thank you for joining me, and those of you that are sharing, I want to thank you as well. I want to hear what you have to say. I got a lot of messages last time, and I want to share what you guys want to hear. So when you get a second, click over to saul@lux.com, see what we're sharing. Also dancingwithmyfather.net, I share more devotional and relationship ideas, and come back for more next week. Thanks so much. Have a great day.